Hello, I'm Mark Peterson, and we're going to talk a little bit about ancient coins, this time about collecting on a budget, so that I can encourage you that you don't need a huge budget or lots of money to get into ancient coins. There are a lot of things that are pretty readily accessible that are really interesting. So, the first coin I want to show you is this Antoninianus from the Emperor Aurelian, who was a really neat guy, ruled for 5 years at the end of the crisis of the third century, which is when Rome really ended up being very disorganized. The economy was in collapse. They were fighting wars constantly, usually losing them. One of the emperors was even taken a prisoner alive. It was a pretty bad time, and a lot of emperors didn't rule for very long. Aurelian was a very strong leader, and unfortunately, he was murdered by his secretary in a strange plot that I don't know if we fully understand, but it was pretty unfortunate because even in those 5 years, he was able to reacquire Gaul and encourage the succeeding emperor there, Tetricus, to step down. He reacquired Palmyra and convinced the Queen Zenobia and her son Prince Vobelathus to step down. He actually paraded Tetricus and the Palmyrans alive in Rome as captives rather than killing them, which is really cool. He was a neat emperor. This coin I won at an auction, and it was a while ago, for under $5. You could probably still find this coin for under $10, but it has a great portrait. It's got a full inscription around the portrait. On the back, it's got a really clear image, and this coin's pretty cool because Aurelian, like I said, he was a military guy, got along with his military, even though he was ultimately put down by his secretary who was working for him. The back of the coin says Concordia Militum, so that means in harmony with the military, and it shows the emperor clasping hands with a goddess who represents Concordia, which is harmony. And another cool thing on the bottom of this coin, we see this XXI and P. The XXI is Roman numerals. It means 20 to 1. There's 20 parts of some base metal to 1 part silver in this coin. That's what we think it means. Uh, and then the P is a mint mark, saying it was minted in Sicily. So for a small amount of money, you can get a coin that's really impressive from an emperor that's really cool, that has full detail and has interesting things that you can learn about the emperor's history, and you can learn about how coinage was working at the time. It's just a really neat coin and super affordable. And there's plenty of coins like this, especially when you look around this period. Emperors like Aurelian and Probus and Diocletian, they're not hard to get, really cheap. And then Constantine and later, of course, too. I think these coins are a little more interesting. But there's a lot of good stuff out there, very affordable. This coin I want to show you for a different purpose called It Is What It Is. This coin is not that impressive. It has two busts. It's Janus, the god Janus, who's looking two different ways. He's a god of the road and a couple other things. He was a very common god on old Republican coinage, which is what this is. This coin was made between 211 and 150 BC. And above it, we see the letter I, which indicated a weight and value for this coin. And this coin's pretty heavy. This is a 25.6 gram coin. It's wide, it's thick, it's pretty satisfying to hold. And on the back is a ship. I believe that this is right side up. Although it's hard to make out the front of the ship, because again, it's not in very good shape, but there's just enough detail on this coin to identify it. If it were in much better shape, it would cost a lot more money, and it wouldn't really be something I could have in my collection. Or if I did, it would be a sacrifice or something I'd have to save up for. This coin I purchased in February of 2020 for just $14 and some change. So, and it is a real Republican Oz. We know that's exactly what it is, because there's enough on it to identify it. So, is it really impressive? Is it going to amaze all my friends? No. But it fills a void in my collection at a very affordable price. And one way that you can collect ancients on a budget is to buy junky coins like this one. And there's still satisfaction to be had in that. And maybe someday, if I have the means, or if I run into a really good deal, I'll replace it with a better one. Another way you can get good coins on the cheap is to buy coins that are only good on one side. So here you can kind of maybe make out a face if I hit it in the angle just right. It's a face facing towards you. It looks kind of cartoonish. It's a little to the left of the center, and there's a cross to the right of the center. This is from the Emperor Justinian, who was like the most significant Byzantine ruler. And the front looks like crap, and it made the coin pretty affordable. But here on the back, we have a decent amount of detail, including these Byzantine numerals here. They're like Roman numerals, but a little bit different. There's a weird one there that looks kind of like a line that signifies actually a 5. So this mint mark shows us 28. So it's 28 years after he took to the throne. So we know that this coin was made in about 549 AD, which is pretty cool. And even though one side of it is not very good, the other side is pretty good, and it has some good information on it. And if this coin was nice like that on both sides, it would have cost a lot more money. So you can collect coins just for one side. Here's another example of a coin I purchased just for one side. This is Caligula, who was one of the most corrupt and evil rulers of Rome. He was the third emperor, coming after Tiberius. And there's all kinds of legends about him, about how he made his horse a senator, and some of those might be true, some of those might have been propaganda. But here we have a coin that has a pretty good portrait of him, where you can make out some of his facial features. It's got a nice inscription going all the way around it. It looks like a very expensive coin. On the back, not so great. It's super pitted. It's the most common coin for Caligula. It's a Vesta seated, so she's sitting, and you can kind of make out her outline. You can kind of read Vesta along the top and see this SC here on the side. So you can see everything in the design, but it looks really poor compared to the front. And I'm not sure why that is, but it made this coin something that I could afford. And not only is it a Caligula coin filling that part of my collection, it's a pretty nice portrait of him. And I'm really glad that I have it. I feel really lucky to have it. And I don't mind that the reverse doesn't look that bad because I bought it for this side of the coin. So if you buy kind of one side of the coin at a time, nobody needs to know that's what your collection looks like. Show them this side. You can get some really cool coins that way. And then I wanted to show you this coin because this coin was a case of me being very lucky. I purchased 4 coins that were from Viminacium, and you can make out some of the details on the back. It's the goddess Moesia, and she's got, I think, an eagle and a bull, or an eagle and a lion next to her. And this is from Viminacium in Dacia, which is modern-day Romania. And these coins bear these military images which represent different legions that were occupying the area at the time. I bought 4 of these in kind of like a grab bag. They were unsorted, is what it said. Sometimes unsorted things are actually unsorted, sometimes they're not. In this case, it almost certainly was. I got a coin from Gordian that's in really bad shape, and Gordian III, pretty common, and 2 coins from Tribonian Iscalus that were in pretty good shape, but this one is from the Emperor Emilian, and he only ruled for 3 months in 253. Remember earlier when we mentioned briefly the crisis of the 3rd century, where people were being killed off regularly and Rome wasn't doing very well? This is one of the guys that kind of amounted to nothing. His rule's pretty insignificant, but it's cool to have an Emilian coin because if I were to try to collect every Roman emperor, and I'm not, for a lot of reasons, but if I were trying to do that, this would be a somewhat challenging one to get. He's definitely the rarest emperor I have, and I got him because I bought an unsorted set of coins. So that's another thing that you can do on a budget to get coins that might be beyond what people would expect with you having a budgeted coin collection. The last coin I want to show you is one of the most recent ones I purchased, and it's one that I'm really, really happy with. This is a silver stater from the Thessalian League, and it's actually from the first year of the Thessalian League, which is really cool. That these coins were minted from 196 to 146 BC, and they elected different magistrates every year, and this coin is from the very first magistrate. So I know that it's from the first year. So it's from 196 or 195 BC. Unless they continued to mint coins with old magistrates on them, which maybe they did, but I don't know for sure, and I doubt they would have. This coin is pretty amazing, and it even has some rainbow toning on the back, which is a little bit hard to see in this lighting. But there's blue and red and some yellow going on in there. It's in incredible condition, and I won this coin just this last month. So I got this in April of 2020, and it cost me under $60. So it's more than I've spent on most of the coins in my collection, but it's a pretty high class coin in really good shape with a lot of interesting things to look at. And while it costs more than most of the coins in my collection, ultimately it really didn't cost that much when you consider what you're getting. Getting an ancient artifact in this kind of condition from so long ago and at a pretty affordable price that's accessible to most of us, even if it means setting aside a little bit of money for a month or two, most of us would be able to afford this coin. I'll point out a couple other things that are cool about this coin. I need something to point with. The lettering on this coin is neat. That's one thing I like about Greek coins. So it has the name of the city, Thessaly, along the edges here in these bigger letters. And along the top, it has the name of the magistrate. And then it has the name of the, I guess, like assistant to the magistrate, which is spelled here with a delta and something that looks like an I, O, delta, omega, rho, O, and epsilon here, reading in that order. So it's like the Greeks would just kind of stick letters wherever they could. And that's one thing that I love about this coin. I love the picture of Athena. I love the toning on it. I love the shape that it's in. I love the weirdness of the lettering. I love the fact that it's the first magistrate that was elected to this position. It's just a really great coin and totally affordable. So even if you don't have a lot of money, there's a lot of potential to get some really cool stuff. Be it common coins that are in very good shape or coins that might demand higher amount of money, not necessarily because they're rare, but because of the emperors that they're connected to and the demand for them, just because they have a bad side to them. Or coins that are really spectacular because you got lucky and saw an auction that nobody else saw, or maybe they're not as rare as you think they are, but even if they're not rare, which doesn't really matter that much, they're fascinating and they're gorgeous. So there's a lot that can be done even with a small amount of money. This hobby, if you're savvy and patient and look in a lot of places and jump on deals and to see them, can be a hobby for pretty much anybody. Thank you for listening.